10 things you should never do in an automatic car. If your automatic car could sit you down for just 1 minute, it probably wouldn't ask for premium fuel or a fancy car wash. It would look you straight in the eye and say, "Please, stop doing these things." Most automatic transmissions don't fail because they're poorly built. They fail because of tiny habits that drivers repeat every single day. There's a good chance you've done at least one of them this week. So before you spend thousands fixing something that could have been prevented, let's count down the 10 things you should never do in an automatic car. Number 10, driving with 2 feet. Have you ever noticed how some drivers keep their left foot hovering over the brake pedal? It seems like a smart idea. Automatic cars were designed with one simple idea in mind. Your right foot controls both the accelerator and the brake. That isn't just a recommendation. It's part of the way the car is meant to be driven. The problem with using both feet is that your brain now has 2 separate commands to process during an emergency. But there's another problem that many drivers never realize. Most people who drive with 2 feet aren't pressing the brake hard enough to stop the car. They're just resting their foot on it slightly. But that tiny amount of pressure creates friction every second you're driving. Your brake pads wear out faster. Your brake discs get hotter. Your fuel economy quietly drops. All because your left foot refused to mind its own business. Number 9, treating every green light like the starting grid. You know the type. The traffic light turns green. The engine roars. The tires squeal. The car shoots forward like it's competing for a trophy. 30 seconds later, everyone is sitting together at the very next red light. Congratulations, you won absolutely nothing. Here's what you did win: extra wear on your engine, extra stress on your transmission, higher fuel consumption, and tires that won't last nearly as long as they should. Every time you bury your foot into the accelerator, your transmission has to react instantly. It has to downshift aggressively, transfer more torque, and deal with forces that simply aren't present during smooth driving. Now, don't get me wrong. Cars are designed to accelerate. Every now and then, a firm pull onto the motorway or a quick overtake is perfectly fine. The problem is making every traffic light feel like the final lap of a Formula One race. Smooth acceleration doesn't make you a slow driver, it makes you a smart one. You'll save fuel, reduce wear, and your passengers will stop wondering if they've accidentally climbed aboard a roller coaster. Number 8, shifting before the car comes to a complete stop. Picture this. You're backing out of a parking space. The car is still rolling backwards, but your hand is already moving the gear selector into drive. Or maybe you're pulling forward into a parking bay, and before the car has fully stopped, you've already selected reverse. It only saves about 1 second, but that 1 second could cost you thousands. Here's why. Inside your automatic transmission are precision-engineered components designed to engage gears smoothly. When the car is still moving in one direction and you suddenly ask it to move in the opposite direction, those components are forced to absorb a shock they were never meant to handle repeatedly. And then there's an even more painful habit: shifting into park while the car is still moving. Many people think the P in park works like an extra brake. It doesn't. Inside the transmission is a tiny metal part called the parking pawl. Its only job is to lock the transmission after the car has already stopped. That's it. It's not designed to stop a moving vehicle. Number 7, chasing horsepower without upgrading the rest of the car. The internet has a funny way of making everything look easy. One video tells you to install a performance chip. Another promises an extra 50 horsepower with a simple tune. Before you know it, you're convinced your daily commuter is only one modification away from embarrassing sports cars at the traffic lights. But here's what those videos rarely tell you. Your engine isn't the only thing working harder after a performance upgrade. Every bit of that extra power has to travel through your transmission, drive shafts, axles, and differential before it ever reaches the wheels. Think of it like hiring one person to carry 10 boxes. Halfway through the job, you quietly double the load without giving them any extra help. Sooner or later, something is going to give up. That's exactly what happens when drivers increase engine power without strengthening the components that handle it. Now, don't get me wrong. Not every modification is bad. Better tires can improve safety. Quality suspension can improve handling. Upgraded brakes are almost always a smart investment. But squeezing significantly more power out of an engine without considering the rest of the drivetrain is like building a second floor on a house without checking whether the foundation can support it. Number 6, revving a cold engine. Picture this. Your alarm goes off. You're still half asleep. Before you've even had a sip of coffee, someone hands you a pair of running shoes and tells you to sprint as fast as you can. You'd probably tell them they're crazy. Well, that's exactly how your engine feels on a cold morning. When you first start your car, the oil hasn't fully circulated through the engine yet. It's still making its way to all the moving parts that depend on it for protection. At the same time, metal components are gradually expanding as they warm up. Everything is waking up. Then, some drivers immediately stab the accelerator just to hear the engine roar. It might sound satisfying. Your engine completely disagrees. A cold engine experiences more friction because the oil hasn't reached its ideal operating condition. Revving it hard during those first few moments only increases wear on parts that are supposed to last for hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Modern cars don't need 10 minutes of idling before you drive away. In fact, they warm up faster by being driven gently. The key word is gently. Drive normally for the first few minutes and let the engine reach operating temperature on its own. Your car will thank you with a much longer life. Number 5, ignoring transmission fluid. Ask almost any driver when they last changed their engine oil, and they'll usually have an answer. Ask them when they last changed their transmission fluid. Suddenly, the conversation gets very quiet. Transmission fluid is one of the most important and most ignored fluids in your entire vehicle. It doesn't just lubricate moving parts. It cools the transmission, creates hydraulic pressure, protects gears from excessive wear, and helps every shift feel smooth and effortless. Over time, however, heat begins to break that fluid down. Tiny metal particles collect inside it. Its ability to protect the transmission gradually fades. Imagine asking someone to fry chips using the same cooking oil every single day for years. Eventually, that oil stops doing its job properly. Transmission fluid is no different. By the time many drivers notice rough shifting or delayed gear changes, the damage has already begun. Servicing the transmission at the recommended intervals costs a fraction of what it takes to replace one. Unfortunately, many people only discover that after receiving the repair bill. Wallet warning. Fresh transmission fluid might seem expensive. A replacement transmission makes it look like pocket change. If you're not sure when your transmission was last serviced, today might be a good day to find out, because the next mistake has been passed from one generation of drivers to another for decades, even though modern cars have made it completely unnecessary. Number 4, coasting downhill in neutral. Let's bust one of the oldest driving myths still hanging around today. You've probably heard someone say, shift into neutral when going downhill. You'll save fuel. Years ago, there was some logic behind that advice. Modern automatic cars are much smarter than many people realize. When you're driving downhill in drive and you take your foot off the accelerator, many modern vehicles reduce or even completely stop fuel injection while the wheels continue turning the engine. In simple terms, your car is already helping you save fuel. Shifting into neutral doesn't improve that. In fact, it takes away one of the biggest advantages of keeping the transmission engaged: engine braking. Instead of allowing the engine to help control your speed, your brake pads now have to do almost all the work. Imagine riding a bicycle down a steep hill using only the hand brakes because you decided to disconnect the pedals. You'd still get to the bottom, but you'd have far less control along the way. The same principle applies to your car. Keeping the transmission in drive gives you better stability, quicker acceleration if you suddenly need to avoid danger, and much less stress on your braking system. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is simply let your car do the job it was designed to do. Number 3, parking without using the handbrake. Let me ask you a simple question. When you park your automatic car, what do you do first? If you're like most drivers, You stop the car, shift into park, lift your foot off the brake, and walk away. Simple, convenient, and unfortunately, not the best habit. Here's why. Most people think the park gear is what holds the entire weight of the car. In reality, it isn't. Inside your transmission is a small metal component called the parking pal. Its only job is to lock the transmission after the vehicle has already stopped. It wasn't designed to carry the full weight of your car every time you park, especially on a hill. Imagine hanging a heavy punching bag from a coat hook. It might hold, for a while. But over time, the stress adds up. That's exactly what's happening inside your transmission. Have you ever parked on a slope and heard a loud clunk when shifting out of park? That's not normal. That's your transmission releasing all the pressure it was forced to carry. The correct parking routine only takes a couple of extra seconds. Come to a complete stop. Keep your foot on the brake. Apply the handbrake first, then shift into park. Finally, release the brake pedal. Now the handbrake is supporting the car's weight, not your transmission. Number 2, ignoring dashboard warning lights. Let's be honest, we've all done it. A warning light suddenly appears on the dashboard. You look at it, it looks back at you. You both silently agree to pretend nothing happened. For the next few days, every time you start the car, you hope it magically disappears. Sometimes it does, and that's where people make a dangerous assumption. Just because the warning light went away doesn't mean the problem did. Think of warning lights like pain in your body. If your tooth hurts today and stops hurting tomorrow, would you automatically assume everything is fine? Probably not. The same logic applies to your car. Modern vehicles are packed with sensors that constantly monitor everything from engine performance to transmission health. When something isn't right, the car tells you long before a complete failure happens. Here's a simple rule every driver should remember. If the warning light is red, stop driving as soon as it's safe and find out what's wrong. If it's amber or yellow, don't panic. But don't ignore it either. Number 1, skipping regular maintenance. Here's something every experienced mechanic knows. Cars almost never fail because of one big mistake. They fail because of hundreds of small ones. An oil change that was delayed, a transmission service that never happened, coolant that wasn't topped up, brake pads that should have been replaced months ago, tires running at the wrong pressure. One problem by itself usually isn't catastrophic, but stack enough of them together, and eventually the car reaches its limit. One of the biggest myths in motoring is that maintenance is expensive. It isn't. Neglect is expensive. Maintenance is simply paying a little now, so you don't have to pay a lot later. Every scheduled service is an investment. Every skipped service is a gamble. And sooner or later, the odds catch up with everyone. The cars that seem unbelievably reliable usually aren't lucky. They've simply been looked after. That's the secret. Nothing magical, just consistency. Mechanics reality check. Take care of your car before it needs repairs, and it'll take care of you when you need it most. If you've made one or two of the mistakes on this list, don't beat yourself up. Almost every experienced driver has. The difference is that now you know better. And that's the beauty of cars. Most of them don't ask for perfection. They ask for consistency. Treat them with a little patience. Maintain them properly. Listen when they're trying to tell you something. And they'll reward you with years of reliable service. Remember, the most expensive repair isn't always the biggest one. It's the one that could have been prevented.